Hi guys, Adam here as per usual. How are you all doing? Hope you had a great weekend. I was working all weekend, so it wasn't that great, but such is life. So today I wanted to talk about the differences between active and passive listening. So yeah, coming right up. Alright guys, so this is a concept really that was kind of introduced to me when I was studying at university. A musicologist, if you like, a bit of a theorist, cultural kind of commentator of the times, Theodore Adorno, wrote some quite extensively on kind of the dangers of passive listening and the kind of differences between active listening and passive listening. Passive listening is what most of us do 99% of the time, maybe 100% of the time when we're listening to music. We're not really listening to music. We might have a CD on in the car on the way to work. You know, I do that all the time, discover some great music that way. We might be doing the ironing, we might be tidying up, we might be pottering about, we might be surfing the internet, we might be doing anything and we have music on in the background. That's what's called passive listening, because the music's only taking up kind of part of your attention and part of your brain. So if I had some backing music in the back of this video, you'd be just passive listening to it. It would be, be floating about and you'd be kind of absorbing it, but you wouldn't really be paying attention to it. Passive listening can make us very suggestible to different things. So lots of marketers and advertisers, shops, etc., they'll all understand kind of how passive listening, different types of music, different volumes, different sounds, etc., how that's likely to make us buy more or less, favour, one product over another, etc. So passive listening can make us, we're very, very suggestible to passive listening. We'll absorb maybe only keywords from the song. So that's what most of us do most of the time. Active listening is the exact opposite. It's when the only thing that's really taking up any of your attention is the music. So it may be that, you literally just put on a record, put on a CD, whatever, and you just lie on the floor, lie on the couch, and all you're doing is listening to that music and trying to absorb it. Much like in the way of watching a film. So when you watch a film, it's not often you're doing anything else. You might be eating snacks or something like that. Not talking about Netflix and chill here, just talking about just purely Netflix, just watching a film. The film's going to have most of your attention for most of that time. You're going to be trying to interpret the characters, you're going to be trying to interpret the story, what's really going on, what lies just beneath the surface of what we think's going on, trying to analyze what's happening all the time. And interestingly, you'll be doing some passive listening to music in there as well, film scores, etc., all about passive listening to kind of play on that suggestion ability, if that's even a word, to make you sort of feel certain things, feel a certain way at certain points in the film. So active listening is a really big skill, and it's really, really hard to do because in today's kind of society, we're just not used to doing it. We're used to music being this kind of throwaway commodity. We purchase it, we passive listen to it, and we ignore it, or we throw it away, or we move it on, or whatever. And music's often seen as just a way to kind of fill in the background space rather than actually, be the foreground, be the focus of our intentions. When you're active listening, you're going to absorb a lot more of the music. You're going to be either consciously or subconsciously trying to count the rhythms, trying to work out the chord progression, trying to think about what key, etc. is happening. And this is not something that's just solely for musicians or solely for guitar players either. Think about before there was kind of commercialized TV, commercialized radio. The only things that music would kind of be used for was public performance, in which case most of the time again it was active listening. It was everyone sat in a tux or a shirt and tie, listening and absorbing the music, what's going on. It may be used for dancing when the music kind of performs again a bit more of a passive role. Probably if you speak to your parents about it, if those who are kind of my age or older, I would say if you speak to your parents, music formed a massive, massive part of their growing up and their life. My dad, every week he'd get his pocket money or whatever, he'd run down HMV or the local record store, he'd buy the latest 12-inch that he wanted, usually some Crackers prog rock, and he'd put it on and he'd lie on the floor with his mate, eyes closed, and they would just listen to the music and absorb the music and learn as much about it as they could just from listening to it. So, everybody's guilty of passive listening, and passive listening is not a bad thing. If you ask Theodore Adorno, he will tell you it's an absolute sin. You should be shot for doing it. I'm not really that harsh. I think passive listening definitely has its place. But what I've tried to do is every single day I've tried to have even just a few minutes of active listening, and I'm trying to build up my active listening skills again and again and again, and I'm trying to get better and better at active listening just to see how much I can kind of absorb from the music. So that's it, guys. How much of your time do you spend actually actively listening to music? Listening to music's become a bit of a passive activity rather than one we're actually actively involved in. So yeah, guys, thoughts, feedback and suggestions and comments below, and I'll see you guys on Thursday. Hope you've had a great start of the week. Take it easy.